Hey friends, welcome back to Rita Talks. I'm Rita, and on this YouTube channel, I just share some of the thoughts, ideas that I've been thinking about, some of the things that have been going on in my life. And today was a Saturday, and it was exactly the kind of Saturday that I needed. And I'm gonna tell you why in a second. But yeah, just so grateful for days like this, even though it started out kind of tough because of some period cramps that I had, because today was my second official day of my period, and so it's kind of painful. The worst days for me are the first, second, and third days, which are quite uncomfortable. But basically, today was exactly what I needed. Oh, sorry. I I have to be careful when moving when I'm on my period. Anyway, so basically, the right way that I started off today is by sleeping. I actually slept in until I think 11 or 11:30, which was very good because I kind of just needed to recover on sleep and stuff like this. So that was very cool. I'm very happy with that. I think, let me tell you exactly what time I woke up. So it's 11:20 a.m. And yeah, it was just a good night of sleep, recovery, which is exactly what I needed. And I started off the day with some very inspiring stuff. I was watching a lot of videos from Nick Bear and from the BBN channel on these hybrid athletes, and just looking at them and finding inspiration in what these people are doing was a really good way to start my day. And it just kind of reminded me of what's possible and what I can also do if I really try. And I love that. I'm super grateful for the kind of content that this team is putting out. I genuinely think it's very inspiring, despite the fact that it's very like usually they're a bit more conservative than the kind of people that I usually listen to, but it's okay, right? Like I love learning from all sorts of people, and I think these guys have a lot of things that I can learn from. That's why I've been enjoying their work so much. So yeah, just super appreciative of that. Even though maybe not their optimal target audience, but it's okay, right? Like I still learn from it a lot. So super grateful for this kind of content. It's always super inspiring and energizing to see people pushing their limits and just extending my perspective on what's actually possible. So super grateful for that. I then edited two of these Rita Talks videos, which I was supposed to edit the past Sunday, but I didn't get a chance to. I only edited half of them last Sunday. So since I edit 4 of these videos every weekend that I'm here, last Sunday I only edited 2. I didn't have time because I think it was too late. I needed to get a sleep to work. But I did the remaining part today, which I was very happy about. And then I went to the gym and I actually listened to this very interesting podcast episode. I genuinely thought it was a really, really good episode that Ali Abdal had with, I think, one of his employees now. But basically, it's Kaylin Grace Apple. She also has a YouTube channel. I think her YouTube channel has more than 100K followers, which is cool. But I really, really loved some of just the 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 way that she views life, and basically her approach to kind of networking, like to network in the right way. And actually, I mean, she didn't put it in so many words. She didn't say, here's how to network the right way. But she did give some advice on things to do, and basically insinuated that these are the right things to go about it, about networking to some extent. And I just loved it. Honestly, I think she did such a great job of just boiling these things down, because I genuinely have felt what she's talking about in my day to day. It's like kind of what has earned me the trust of some of my mentors and the people that I look up to and that I work with every day. And it's kind of, I did it intuitively, but it's really good to have this sort of framework, like, or an explanation behind it. So here it goes. So the first thing is that you want to be seen. The second thing is that you want to be seen doing good work. The third thing is that you want to be seen doing work that you really care about. The fourth thing is that you need to ask thoughtful questions. And the last thing, which is to lead by example. And all of these things, like, I have stumbled upon intuitively in my life, like, especially to be seen doing good work and to be seen doing work you really care about, which I do. I was gonna talk in French, but which I do as part of the Women in Engineering group that I'm a part of. Also asking thoughtful questions. That's something that I put a lot of effort into, and like listening and trying to actually think through whatever ideas that I come across, and actually question them and see if they actually make sense, and then ask questions based on that. And leading by example, which is always something that I try to embody in my day to day. If I want to, basically, I'm learning to influence without authority, and the best like the best way, in my opinion, to do that is to lead by example. So I try to do as much of that as possible. And I just thought she did a great job of summarizing these like ways of networking the right way. And the reason that I like this idea of be seen doing good work and be seen doing work that you really care about is that it kind of goes back to this topic of attract, don't chase. So be seen. It means that you're gonna look interesting, and it's not about looking interesting. It's just about being interesting, right? And basically, that will attract the kind of people that you want to be around. And so I just love this framework that like just this way that she put it. I think she did an excellent job on this podcast, and yeah, that was just really really cool to see. So yeah, that was one thing, and also actually like somewhat related to this. Basically, today I just uh, went for a 2.5 hour walk, which I have not done in a really long time, and I really really enjoyed it, and I kind of miss it. Miss my really long walks. I used to go for really really long walks, and today I did that, and it felt amazing. And I was listening to some podcasts all throughout, and like some of the podcasts. So basically, I listened to this podcast on Ali Abdallah's podcast with Kaylin Grace Apple, who also now works in his team. I then listened to this podcast that he did, the second podcast that he did with Nicholas Cole. And basically, this podcast is called How to Make 10K a Month as a Writer. But actually, I really like this podcast because of just some of the reframings that Nicholas Cole does that I think are really interesting, not just about money, but just about writing in general. So I just thought that was very cool, and how to distinguish between good and bad writing. And I actually really love this thing that he said, is that basically Ali at some point was asking if we could automate some things just from the get-go. And he talked about this idea that you can't automate something that you haven't done. So, and even if someone tells you how to automate it, you don't have the kind of background to be able to understand it. So, the best way to automate is to start with the non-automated way, the non-optimal way. Do it so many times, and that kind of gives you the background knowledge, like enough knowledge to be able to actually automate effectively. So I just thought that was interesting. And then I listened to, on the same podcast, this episode, so on Ali Abdallah's Deep Dive podcast with basically Andrew Wilkinson, who's apparently a billionaire, and he's gonna be like, his book is gonna come out actually 2 days from today, and it's called Never Enough, and it just talks about his journey. And these are exactly the kind of books that I really enjoy, which basically they just talk about the kind of stuff that, like, they just talk about how, like, it's kind of a business biography or something like this. And I love these. I really value them because you can just relate to these people and realize that they also did not know what they were doing, but still stuck with it and enough to be able to figure it out. And so I just like love these kinds of books. So yeah, that was one thing. And then I just listened to episode number 351 of the Founders podcast. And basically, this podcast talks about the founder of Rolex, Hans Wilsdorf. And I just thought it was good. It was interesting to listen to. And yeah, it was kind of interesting to hear about the story of this founder and about the fact that when he started his career at 19, there were no wristwatches. There were only pocket watches, especially for men. And basically, how through his work, he has completely transformed the world of watches, and basically introduced, like, he really believed in the fact that watches need to be on your wrist, but there were some limitations to them being on your wrist. It's because they would be smaller than the watches that are pocket watches, and so they needed to have a better watch mechanism to be able, like a smaller watch mechanism to be able to fit it on your wrist. Then the second problem was like kind of damage to the watch. So he wanted to make a watch that was waterproof, and so once he managed to make a watch, first of all, that can fit on your wrist and that was accurate, then he focused on making this watch waterproof with his collaboration with, I don't remember the name of the guy who was taking care of all of this engineering and like all of this research into the watches. And once they had waterproof watches, they completely lent into that, and like with their advertising and marketing, they played it really well. That it became super famous, and then they made I think I don't remember what was the name, but like just a watch that does not need maintenance almost. And the only way that they could do that is they needed for the watch to be completely sealed, so waterproof and all of that stuff. So it was it was really interesting to hear about the story of how his belief in wristwatches and how he kept investing little by little, and like kept his belief that it's gonna happen, and made it happen by investing heavily in the research to be able to reach all of these milestones that basically set the stage. Like each milestone that he reached set the stage for the next milestone. And because of this single-minded vision, that single-minded belief that this was going to be a big thing, he kept on investing in the R&D to try to make it happen. And it was like, as with all stories of how founders like make something out of nothing, persevere when they somehow find something out that everyone seems to be blind to, and believe in the fundamentals of their knowledge so much that they keep on investing into it, that it eventually works because the fundamentals are actually right. So that's like really inspiring to see, and I just love these kind of stories. And I think the Founders podcast is starting to become one of my favorite podcasts because it's really well done. And I'm super grateful for this guy. I don't remember his name, but basically the guy who does these podcasts. I think let me try and figure. So David Senra. So yeah, I'm super glad that like he makes this podcast, and I will definitely be listening way more to it in the future, especially during my long walks that I want to resume taking. And yeah, I was just looking for something to listen to during these long walks, and I think I found my thing. So yeah, I'm really excited about that, and I just really want to go back to having these long contemplative walks where I can just think and listen without having such pressure on myself to take notes and stuff, because that's what caused me to somewhat stop doing these things. So now just back to lowering the bar and just going out for walks and getting inspired and listening and learning from different people, different content, different kind of stuff. So yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about for today. Thanks a lot for tuning in. You can click here to watch my previous video on this channel to do a right click for this one, or you can click here to watch my latest video on the channel overall. Thanks again for tuning in. I hope you have a fantastic rest of the day, night, whichever time of day it is where you are right now. Bye for now, and hopefully see you in the next one. Bye bye.